Hello everybody and welcome back to the CLEN channel where we play a game and talk about anything MMA related, and today what we're going to be talking about is Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2, the rematch, the long-awaited rematch. I think I'm a little bit more excited for this than most people because it's so long ago and both fighters are they were a shell of what they once were. They are completely evolved and different fighters. Now if you go back and remember that, people were talking about, because of course this is the rematch coming up, and people were talking about how dominant Kamaru Usman was in the first match. So I encourage you to go rewatch that, because if you remember, Leon Edwards actually took the first round off Kamaru Usman. He looked really good. Kamaru Usman, a lot of people like to talk about, he's like, oh my god, Leon Edwards got dominated, he's gonna get dominated again. Usman didn't dominate him in the first fight. Yes, he controlled him the whole time, but that was when Usman was like the decisionator. Like, he was holding people down, holding them up against the cage, not letting him do much. Yes, he was winning the fight. He won the fight very, very clearly, right? He was in control most of the time, but he didn't give like a beat down. It wasn't like he was fighting like Gilbert Burns. I understand that Gilbert Burns did like very well in the fight, but I mean, like, Usman didn't really give Leon a huge beatdown, so I don't really consider it like a domination. I consider it like a nice controlled win. But what excites me about this fight is how different the fighters are. Like, Kamaru Usman, he was just a wrestler back then. Now the wrestling is just like a secondary part of his game, especially since he started training with Trevor Whitman. Every single time, I watched Dan Hardy's breakdown on this, by the way, and Dan Hardy described it perfectly for Kamaru Usman. He's like, every single time you show up with Kamaru Usman fighting with Trevor Whitman, it's like a kid with a brand new toy. He has a new move to show us. With the Gilbert Burns fight, it was the jab. Oh, okay, I'm gonna knock you down with the jab. Look how great my jab is. In the Masvidal fight, he's like, okay, I got an awesome cross. Now I'm gonna hit you with the cross, and then it works. And he's so good at it. He's forever evolving as a fighter, and his stand-up's phenomenal now. That's why I'm so excited for Leon Edwards, because Leon Edwards, he's always had really good Muay Thai, but man, he has that experience with the Muay Thai now. It's looking sharp. It's looking incredible. He's using the knees, the elbows. He's using everything, and I'm really excited to see how the clinch will end up. Will Leon Edwards, I understand like Leon Edwards' game isn't the clinch, but I feel like he would have a lot of advantages in the clinch because both of them are really good wrestlers. I give the strength advantage to Usman, but Leon Edwards can definitely stop a takedown. Like, imagine Kamaru Usman shooting for a takedown, then bang, he runs into a knee. But I don't know if Kamaru Usman will really try to take him down, because he's really falling in love with his hands. He's really falling in love with the knockout. Something I do want to see, though, is Leon Edwards. Will he implement the leg kicks? I'm surprised a lot of people haven't really tried this with Kamaru Usman, because he's so heavy. Like, it's not like he's bouncing on the feet. He's like, just, you know, the traditional Muay Thai style. He's like right there, planted still, not still, but you get what I'm saying. He's pretty heavy on his feet, a little bit of a wider stance, and he's ready to unload right on you. And I'm surprised that people haven't really tried chopping at his legs. And what we do know is Leon Edwards is fantastic at chopping people's legs. Look at his fight against Nate Diaz. A lot of people like to talk about what happened at the end of that fight, but also that's something that worries me. I'll talk about that in just a second. I think Leon Edwards will be the first fighter we see actually try to chop down Kamaru Usman's legs over 5 rounds, and that's assuming Kamaru doesn't take him down. I feel like he won't. Like, they're talking about, like, remember they had the meme, they tried to recreate the meme where it's like, let's wrestle. I feel like he'll shoot just to, like, put it in the back of the head that he's there, but Usman's fallen in love with his hands too much. I don't think he'll wrestle. I don't think we'll see a lot of wrestling in this game. It's kind of like what we saw with Covington. When you have two people that are so good at something, it kind of nullifies them, and it just doesn't happen. I feel like we're going to see a big striking battle. Regardless, I think this will be the first time we see Usman have to deal with leg kicks, and Leon Edwards is fantastic at it. If you, like I was just talking about his Nate Diaz fight, he made Nate Diaz where he was just walking, buckling on that leg, and he is so tough, Nate Diaz. It's incredible. So I don't even understand how he's walking in some of these fights. He's like a zombie. Now, talk about the 5th round of the Nate Diaz fight. Leon Edwards got rocked. Why did he get rocked, though? It's because he does what Leon Edwards does, and a lot of people consider Leon Edwards to be boring because he, like, does what he does, and he does what needs to be done to win. He doesn't, like, go for the kill ever. He's just like, I'm going to stand here, I'm going to use my Muay Thai, I'm going to outpoint you, I'm going to win the fight, and that's how Leon Edwards was. And he, coming into that 5th round, he was so, like, laid back, and he's like, all right, I'm going to coast to decision. Then he got comfortable. You can't do that, especially with Nate Diaz, and you will not be able to do that, especially even more with Kamaru Usman, because Kamaru Usman has showed us that he has a gas tank. He still has that power in the 5th round to put you to sleep. And I can very well see, let's say Leon Edwards, I don't think he will be winning the whole fight, but let's say Leon Edwards wins the 4 rounds completely. I can see Kamaru Usman coming out there and just starching him in the 5th, just like the Nate Diaz fight, because Leon Edwards, he has a good chin, but if he's coasting, he cannot let himself get relaxed and ready to win a decision. He can't do that, but I can see him doing that, and Kamaru Usman just like cranking him in the last round. So that's something that worries me a little bit, but I want to see mostly like how the fight plays out, and it's so hard to tell because both fighters are not like what they once were. And Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman's fought better opponents than Leon Edwards, but that's not Leon Edwards' fault. He said yes to like every single opponent, right? So we'll have to wait and see what it's like when these guys clash again. Who knows if there's a mental ability, because like Kamaru Usman might have a mental edge over him because of course like he controlled him the entire time last time, but then on the other hand, that might just motivate Leon Edwards to want to do better in this fight, to train harder. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm kind of honestly leaning towards Leon Edwards to take this fight. I think Kamaru Usman is very well due for an upset, and another thing is he's been off for a little while now, and he's had a broken hand hand, so maybe he'll be a little bit tentative to fight that. It's been so long since he really faced adversity. And you know what, and I mean, like, he hasn't really faced any danger. Of course, Covington took rounds off of him. Gilbert Burns did very well against him, but he was never really in any danger, and I feel like Leon Edwards could potentially put him in that danger. I initially just thought that Kamaru Usman would win, but he is due for an upset, and Leon Edwards seems to be the type of guy to actually give him that upset. So I'm kind of 50-50 with this one at this point. Originally, I was kind of like, I don't know, 70-30, Usman's probably going to win this fight, but man, this is so exciting. I can see Leon Edwards really piecing him up with the elbows in the clinch. It all matters whether or not Usman decides to wrestle, and can he take Leon Edwards down, because if he can, I feel like he'll control him a lot again, but I do not think that would happen. But guys, regardless, I would love to know what you think down below. I know my prediction and breakdown here was a little bit sloppy, but it's just there's so many variables in this fight that are unknown. So I'd love to know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching this video.